Good evening, everybody, and welcome to session 7. Oh my goodness, the final solution session. So this is session 7 of how to deal with health anxiety, and stress. And tonight's little topic is the solution, how to become more empowered, healthy and happy in the COVID times. So I'm going to be focusing this evening on a solution-based, good evening Fiona, a solution-based little step-by-step process so that you can start implementing some massive solutions, good evening Laura, in your life from this evening, right? Because enough's enough, basically. It's time to take some actions from today so that you can start creating a different reality, a different result, a different outcome. And I'm going to handhold you through this process this evening by splitting it up into different areas. So the first thing I want to do is I want to just bring you into a little bit of background. Good evening, Becky. Into what the freedom alignment method actually is. I've witted on about it a little bit over this last week, and so I want to introduce you to the real essence of what the freedom alignment method is. I also want to handhold you through the reasons why meditation is not an option, it's an absolute necessity for expansion, great mental health and being able to be the best version of yourself. And then I also want to finish on empowerment and what that really is. Good evening, Emily. What that actually is and why it is just so important that you harness self-empowerment. Like, I would say that normally, no matter what was going on in the world, but especially because of what we're currently going through right now. So I'm not going to mess around this evening. I'm going to dive straight in and start talking to you about the freedom alignment method. But before I do, something random's happened to me today, and I really want to just start the session off with sharing this because it's really highlighted something for me very well, that I want to just share with you. So basically today I've been training some freedom alignment coaches and I've been doing a full day's training with my guys over Zoom, and it's been amazing, and it finished about 3:30 and I get a knock at my door. So I go to the door and there's a little boy there who's about 12 years old who looks really scared. He looks cold because it's freezing today, right? He's cold, he hasn't got a coat on, and he's quite timid, and he just kept saying to me on repeat, please will you take me home? And I was like, where's home? Anyway, he said that he lived in a place which is about an hour away from where I live, in a town called Thirsk, and he kept saying, will you take me home? Please take me home. Anyway, so I brought the little boy in and sat him down on my sofa and tried to get some information out of him, and he was very scared, and eventually I obviously had to call the police, and we managed to establish that he'd actually run away from a children's home that's very close to me, and the town that he wanted me to take him back to was where his foster parents had been living. Now, I don't know the details, don't know the ins and outs or anything like that, but what it really flagged up to me was this little boy that was in front of me who at some points was quite hysterical, but anyway, I managed to calm him down and make him feel at peace and make him feel comfortable. But the big, massive learning curve from this was this for me, is this little boy scared as in this time of obviously all this stuff going on, but the stuff that was going on was so not important to him because it was like his basic needs really needed to be met. And what he felt was he wanted to get home to a place where he felt safe. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't safe at the children's home. I'm sure he absolutely is. But for him, it was his big drive. And when I spoke to him and eventually managed to get him to speak, what came out from him was one thing that he really wanted, and he just really wanted to be able to go and play on his Xbox. Now, as ridiculous as that sounds, it was so like almost alarming to me that this tiny little boy who's only 12 years old, who's scared, who's cold, who's lost, who just wants to desperately get home because he just wants his Xbox. And it just made my heart melt, and realising that, like, you know, I wanted to scoop him up, to be honest, and if I could have probably kept him, but I've already got 3 children. But what I really realised is like how flipping grateful we need to get for what we already have in our lives. This little boy's been in foster care, I think, probably on and off his whole entire life. He doesn't know anything different. He actually gave me an alias, a bogus name. he knew how to work the system at 12 years old because all he wanted was to get to a safe place and play his Xbox. And for me, it was just this whole reminder that over the last week, there's been so much kind of negativity going on because of the fear out there. And yet we've got real life situations on our doorstep happening where there's little boys like this who just really want to feel loved. They just want to feel connected. They want to feel like they're worthy enough. And this little boy had worked out how to navigate a system basically so well at 12 years old that he'd end up in my front room trying to manipulate me to take him home. Obviously I couldn't do that, and I had to get the police involved in the care home. But the big thing off the back of it was gratitude. Like, how flipping grateful just for the simple things we've got in our lives, like a roof over our head and the people around us that love us, and you know, the fact that we've got people that we can reach out to. All right, we might not be able to see them physically right now, but we've got people in our lives that, you know, care for us, that love us. And you know, never underestimate that. Never underestimate it, because it is so important that we really start to break down our worlds and start having a word with ourselves and refocusing ourselves onto the good flipping stuff, because there's so much good out there. And yet it's so easy to get sucked into all this nightmare that's going on currently that we forget. So my little rant's over, but all I'm saying off the back of this experience this afternoon was, other than the fact that I wanted to scoop him up and keep him and just shower him in love for the rest of his life, is let's just get really grateful for what we already have, right? Let's start and let's make a pact from this moment onwards that we are going to start looking for the good in our lives right now. No matter what's going on out there, we're going to look for the good and we're going to start being thankful for it. Deal? Good. Okay, I'll stop ranting. So let me jump into today. So I want to talk to you about, first of all, the freedom alignment method and what it is. So over the last 15 years, I've been on a massive journey, and I like to call it my soul journey, where I've been kind of really navigating my own life through a sequence and series of events, teachers and trainings and seminars and books, the amount of books I've read, and working with some amazing clients over the last 10 years, where I've been so lucky to be able to work out a system called the freedom alignment method. But back 15 years ago, it all began because I found myself in a really, really hard situation. So we've all got a story, we've all got a backstory, and mine's no harder than anybody else's. But where I found myself was leaving a very toxic, abusive relationship with 3 under 4-year-olds. I found myself penniless, homeless, bankrupt, and basically juggling for 3 children that were very, very, well, we're still in nappies actually, we're really tiny. And so my mental health was not great. I was in a place of feeling that I was such a loser, and I would spend most of the time listening to that little voice in my head, which, by the way, never used to shut up. It would always say things like, "You're such an idiot, Kirsty, you've really messed your life up, you've really screwed your life up, you've screwed your children's life up, you've made a mess of everything, da 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 da," and it'd be relentless. Anyways, so this kind of experience perpetuated out of control to the point that I would do whatever I could to be able to just not have to feel these horrendous feelings. So for me, it was bottles of wine, and lots of them. And I would just try and drink myself numb and then fall asleep. And then the next day I'd wake up and then I'd repeat, rinse and repeat, until one day somebody said to me, "Kirsty, you need to sort your life out." Well, can I tell you, did I want to punch that person at that moment? Yes, I did. Because it was all very well somebody going, "Go and sort your life out," but I didn't know how. It was all very well, but I was in massive victim mode back then. I really felt like the world was really hard on me. I felt like it wasn't fair, and I would always look outwards in my objective world and see everyone else living this supposedly happy life, and I'd be like, "It's just not fair, my life's a mess." And yeah, and I was a massive drama queen with it all, you know, because like at that point back then I didn't know what the answers were. Anyway, what it did is it propelled me at one point when I hit my ultimate rock bottom moment, which was when I went to put some petrol in my car, and I ended up backing my car into somebody, and I went home and they chased me home, and then basically I had all these people knocking on my door, and I had small babies, no money, and and it was just a nightmare, and I just broke down. And it was at that pinnacle point that I knew that I needed to make a change. So I did what most people did. I trundled onto the doctors and they gave me some antidepressants, but I wasn't depressed. I was anxious. I was having panic attacks, but I wasn't depressed. So there was a little flame in me that knew that there had to be another way to live my life. I knew that there was another way to do it, but I didn't know what the answers were. So I started reading, I started doing seminars, and I came across a couple of amazing teachers. One was Tony Robbins, who's a 6'6", like American dude that not everybody's into, but he taught me some fundamental tools. I then came across the Coaching Academy, where I went and learned to be a life coach. And this was a real turning point for me, because what it meant is it gave me some tools to be able to work on myself while I was actually learning a new skill to be able to work with others. At the end of my training, I knew that this was really exciting, and I started to work with people, and by that point I'd started to change my own life around by implementing the tools. But I knew there was more, and this is when I came across the Ashayas. So the Ashayas are a bunch of monks that are global, they're all around the world, and they teach a type of meditation called ascension. Ascension means to rise above the mind. Now, my mind had been the biggest problem that I'd been dealing with for the majority of my life because it was so negative. And I don't know if any of you can relate to that at all, probably, but it was one of those minds that was really judgmental, especially about myself. I mean, it was judgmental about everything, but whoa, was it judgmental about me. It was and it was so consistent. It was consistently judgmental, consistently negative about who I was, how I looked, how I interacted, my intelligence levels, how I came across to people. I mean, it just would judge everything. And so I came across the Ashayas, and a friend of mine said, started telling me about them. And I remember saying to him, do you know what? I just need to get my Zen back. I mean, I'd never said anything like that before in my life, ever. I don't even know where it came from. But anyway, I trundled along to this weekend course called A First Sphere. And to be honest, if I'm really honest, my idea of meditation prior to going to the course was, it's probably not for me. Sitting around, eyes closed, I'm a bit energetic. And I had a bit of a bad kind of attitude towards what I thought it was. But anyway, I've kind of found myself on this course. And on the Saturday morning, and I call this my next light bulb moment. And the only way I can describe it is that it's a little bit like life's a jigsaw puzzle. And there's this beautiful picture, apart from this one piece of the jigsaw puzzle that doesn't know how to find its way home. So it's been like kind of living up here in orbit my whole entire life, not knowing where it lives. And on the Saturday morning, something was shared and it went ka-chunk, and it was like I saw the bigger picture for the first time ever in my life. And I was like 35 by this point, 35, 36, something like that by this point. And what I realised at that point was that I'd been spending all this time trying to fix myself because I thought I was broken. And I've been trying to fix myself from the outside, whereas I needed to change that and go inwards and make the changes from within. And so very, very quickly, I got very hooked into this type of meditation, so much so that I ended up taking the boys out of school. We drove to Spain and we lived at the top of the Spanish mountain, where I studied the workings of the mind with these monks, like you do. So anyway, we lived up there for a few months, and I did my training. It's called the Mastery of the Self. And so what I did is I learned with the monks how to not just only overcome my own sort of programming and patterns and mind, but also then eventually I decided that I wanted to teach it, because I thought I can't know this information and not share it with the world. And so I graduated as an Ashaya monk in November 2015. Now, I know you're probably saying you don't really look like a monk, but yeah, that's true, I am. We're not. We live in the world and we live normal lives, right? Because this is not about hiding away in a cave in this lifetime. This is about walking your walk and sharing your truth from a normal life, so that it's integrated, so it becomes normal, so that anybody can do this. And that's what I loved about this practice, is that it fits in with my life. It's very simple and it's mechanical. And what that means is that you don't have to have a belief system. So it's not got any religious religion attached to it. You can be religious and still do this if you liked, but there's no religion attached to it. There's no belief system. And what it means by mechanical is you, as long as you use the techniques, and you're given 4 techniques over the course of the weekend, which are around love, joy, peace, and praise. As long as you use these techniques every single day, they just work. And how they work and what they do is, as we start to use our meditation practice with our eyes closed, is they start to help you dissolve the negative programs or the negative beliefs that we've built up over our whole entire life, which tend to come up every single day and make decisions and judgments on us without us even realising. So, for example, as I was saying the other day, sometimes we'll be about to do something and we'll stop ourselves because there'll be like a voice or a fear or an emotion, intense emotion that says, don't do that, you'll make a fool of yourself. Oh, you can't do that, you're not good enough. Oh, you're not amazing enough, you're not pretty enough. Whatever it might be, it's usually around feeling like you're not enough. And so what happens is you don't end up living the full expression of your life because you're dictated to actually by these programs unconsciously. And so this really excited me because I was like, wow, can I delete all this stuff? Oh my goodness, just give me the stuff, tell me what to do, I want to delete it. And so I've now been meditating for about a decade, which is just crazy in itself because I can't stick to anything, but for some reason I've stuck to this. And I ascend basically every single day. Ascending means to meditate, and ascension means to arise above the mind. And it has been the most life-changing experience I could ever tell you. Oh my goodness, right. So in a nutshell, this is why it's life-changing. So the things in my life are still pretty similar. So I haven't managed to sell the kids yet. I've still got them. I'm still a single mum, and I've still got a business. I've still got a dog to walk. I've still got bills to pay. I've still got parents to sort out. I've still got like normal stuff to do. But this is what's really changed for me. So before, I was so in my head. Like I used to be so analytical of myself and so like I said, judgmental, and I would analyse everything, and it would always end in something very, very negative. And I would always think that the worst thing is going to happen. So I might be, let's say I've got to go do a new job, or I've got to go somewhere, or maybe it might be even a social event. In my mind, I would have already gone into that situation a million times prior to getting there, and I've kind of established in my head some really bad outcomes. And as far as the kids go, I would be like, oh my gosh, they're going to die, they're going to do this, it's going to go wrong, they're going to choke to death, they're going to end up in a fire. You know, it'd be crazy talk, but there would be so much negativity that I would buy into. What has changed since then is I don't do that anymore. And it is so liberating. And the reason why is because my whole relationship to the outside world has completely changed. Now, I'm not saying that I've become lackadaisical and I don't put boundaries in place for my children, or I don't still do things that are going to support my soul and nurture my world. Absolutely I do. But I don't stress about things like I used to. Like I don't live in my mind. I don't live in a future moment where I'm just going off and dialoguing and having fantasy arguments. In fact, oh my goodness, I'm about to share this really embarrassing situation. So this honestly happened to me. This is how bad my mind was. I remember going on holiday to the Bahamas with white beaches. It was beautiful, turquoise sea. I'm there, and my neighbour, prior to going,
I found you. Disconnected.
That's my Alexa. Before getting there, it really annoyed me because she'd parked in front of my. This is so embarrassing. Parked in front of my window, which was ruining my view. Right, I promise you, I've changed since here. Anyway, went to the Bahamas for 2 weeks. Spent the whole 2 weeks on a sun lounger having a fantasy argument with her about what I was going to say to her when I got back. Anyway, came back, saw her. What did I do? Nothing. So I spent 2 weeks, right, on a sun lounger having fantasy arguments with a neighbour that when I came back I didn't even follow through with. Seriously, right? Is that not like insanity? Well, that's how I used to live. Fantasy arguments, conversations with people in the future moments. This is what I'm going to say to her when I see her. This is what I'm going to do. And then I'd see him and I'd say, nothing. Anyways, so I don't do that anymore, and that's really good. And I also have noticed that so things will arise in my awareness, things will be given to me. So, for example, let's say COVID-19, I've got no control over what's going to be given to me in this planet, neither of you, but I have total and utter control over the meaning I give things. So it's not that I'm not taking actions and doing as I'm told right now, because I am. I'm staying inside and washing my hands and doing all the rest, but I'm definitely not sat around watching that screen going over my head all the worst case outcomes of what possibly and potentially might happen. No way, Jose. I am putting my attention on things that empower me right now, that make me feel good. I'm still taking actions, but I'm not choosing to put my attention on the worst case outcomes that are not even real yet. Because it's a waste of life, a waste of time, and it mentally will completely and utterly make you shoot through. Literally. So what's the point? And there's a survey done on about worry, right? And apparently 99% of worry never comes real. So it's literally, when I say this, it is a waste of life. So don't do it. So meditation, basically for me, the reason why I feel that everybody needs to learn to meditate is because if you can also have a tool to change your life from the inside out, so that you don't have to live from that state of fear and constant worry and future forecasting all the time, why wouldn't you choose that? Why wouldn't you choose that? Now, the other benefit to meditation is it relaxes you. It takes you to the same healing level that sleep does. So if you aren't a great sleeper, or you feel like maybe for years you've constantly been running at a high level of stress and your body could do that extra rest, then meditation is amazing for that, because what it does is it takes you to that deep level of rest. So 20 minutes of ascension is equivalent to 2 hours of your deepest level of sleep. 20 minutes. So in theory, if you were meditating a lot, wouldn't even need sleep, which is actually what happens with the yogis. And when I did my mastery and we were doing long hours of meditation, I hardly slept at all. It was really bizarre because I was meditating for such long hours. Now in real life, I can't do that because I've still got things to get on with. But 20 minutes of meditation super heals your nervous system, which then supports your immune system, which then allows you to have your IgA proteins working on all form, which is remember I told you yesterday, your IgA is like that, it's like your troops within you of protein that keep you protected from viruses, from bacteria. So they don't let illness come in, and they're like supersonic. They know what they're doing. So all this stuff supports that, which is incredible. So if you want to know more about this type of meditation, go to www.thebrightpath.com, and on there, currently we're not obviously teaching courses because we can't have people next to us, but they will be back on as soon as we get through this period of time. And if you want to know anything about Ascension, or you want to know anything about how you go about learning to meditate and learn to ascend, then just DM me, right? Because it's like my favourite topic. I could speak about consciousness forever. So, if you want to know more, I'll meet for a coffee. I mean, it could be a Zoom coffee right now. Just shout out, get in touch. Because for me, it's been the biggest game changer. You don't have to learn from me. We've got teachers all around the world. This is not just selective to you having to come to a course that I would teach. Of course, if you want to come to one of my courses, fantastic. But it's not like that. I'm quite happy to just say go to the website and just choose where you want to go and learn. We've got people teaching it all over the world, so you can learn anywhere. Again, though, obviously they're on hold until we come out of this period, but you can go and at least download the information. There's loads of free stuff on that website, loads of free videos and things like that. So go on there, look at it. But if you want to know any more information, get in touch. So meditation, an absolute must. So after learning to become a meditation teacher, I came back to the UK and continued working with clients. And it was so weird because now my coaching clients were starting to turn up with anxiety issues, were starting to turn up with chronic pain issues. And it was then I came across Dr. John Sarno, who sadly's died now, but he is like, oh, he's such a legend. And I was so lucky, I got to do some of his training. So he is the guy, he's the doctor that taught me about why the body manifests chronic illness and pain and mental health issues. And I got to do some amazing training around the mind-body connection, which, by the way, if you haven't worked out, I'm totally obsessed with. Totally obsessed with. You know, like, it's so amazing, right? Up until the pharmaceutical companies coming out, if you went to the doctor would see you as a mind and a body. But since the pharmaceutical companies were born, it's like you're just now a body. So you get treated for the symptoms now and never the cause. And what I love about John Sarno's stuff is he was about looking at the cause. So I did some training with him, brought it back, and then what I started to recognise was patterns in my clients' behaviours, patterns in their personalities and patterns in the way that they interacted with the world, their belief systems. And it became really clear to me that depending on what the manifestation was that they were experiencing, so whether it was anxiety, depression, panic attacks, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, back pain, nosebleeds, God, you name it, that there would, if you went back to the cause, there would be a pattern in that particular manifestation. And so that's when I created the freedom alignment method. And the best way to describe it is, if you imagine that you are born a blank canvas, everybody is, and you go through life, and we all have good experiences, bad experiences, and different experiences. And depending on the experiences you have, depends on what your body suppresses. Now, back to day one, when I drew you the conscious and subconscious mind as an iceberg, this being the subconscious mind is a huge space, but it's not infinite. And every time that you have a stressful experience, what your mind does without you knowing, just to keep you alive, is it takes that negative emotion and it puts it in your subconscious mind. So it looks like that. Now, as you can imagine, when you get to a final age like me, you've got a fair old amount of stuff in there because we've had quite a lot of experiences. And at some point, it gets full. Now, because your mind and body are completely connected, and you know that's true, because if you were hungry right now, what you would do is you would maybe smell the food or even see the food, and your mouth could potentially start salivating before it gets anywhere near it. And that's because your mind and body are connected. So what happens is your subconscious mind gets full, it starts to overflow this suppressed emotion. And what it does is it overflows from the mind and starts manifesting in the body. What the freedom alignment method does is it deals with the cause. So it basically looks at what's going on in your subconscious mind. And then what I do through a process is I handhold you through a process metaphorically, and we remove the suppressed emotion that you have unconsciously stuffed into your subconscious through this non-invasive process to release those emotions that don't serve you anymore. And so if you imagine, if that's the cause and that's the effect, so the effect is the symptoms, the effect is the anxiety, the effect is the depression, the effect is the panic attacks, the effect is just not feeling great, right? That's the effects, they're the symptoms. The cause is maybe a build-up of suppressed emotions that you've suppressed over many, many years. So if we start to remove the cause, we remove the reason why this is happening, we take that away out of the subconscious mind, this has to disappear. Because there's no cause anymore, there can't be an effect. And so as we start to empty your subconscious mind of these repressed emotions that don't serve you anymore, you turn back into what's called homeostasis, into alignment of health, which is your birthright, by the way. So everybody's got suppressed emotions, everybody has, and depending on what's going on in your world or what's happening in your life, it depends on how much you've got in there and what needs to be removed. It's not because you've done anything wrong, it's because this is how the fundamentals of how the mind and body work and how the mind tries to keep you alive. The problem we've got on this planet is that no one ever teaches us how to properly feel when we feel these things. And so for a life, we've been stuffing this stuff away and we've never been actually facing the stuff. And so what happens is we start living in resistance. And when we live in resistance, what we do is we cause more intense energy. And what we need to learn to do is, instead of resisting it, is we need to learn to allow it and feel it, and so that we can let it go. But nobody's ever been taught how to do that. And so until you are taught how to do it, how are you expected to even know what to do with this stuff? So what we tend to do is we immediately distract ourselves by stuffing it back down, by doing something different, like drinking wine, shopping, taking drugs, doing things that are just out of balance. Too much of anything is always because we're trying to distract ourselves in cognitive dissonance from what's really going on in ourselves. And what we really need to do is the opposite. So if you would like to know more about that, or you would like to be handheld yourself through that process, then just DM me, because I've got loads of exciting programs coming up. I've got group coaching programs, one-to-one programs, all sorts of things. And if that feels like that's something that you would like more support in, then don't waste another moment. Get in touch after this session. Okay, so freedom alignment method, meditation. The third part of today, though, is empowerment, right? And I am a massive fan of self-empowerment. And that's because I felt so disempowered back 15 years ago. And I know how it feels to be like that, because it's disempowering, it's horrendous, it's exhausting, and you feel like a piece of rubbish. And so the opposite of that, or antidote to that, is empowerment. And I am such a fan of empowerment, because one thing that I recognise with people that I end up meeting through my work is, most times, 9 out of 10 times, when people turn up on my doorstep, when people turn up to sessions, when people turn up to their first kind of VIP session, is there's a running kind of commonality to them, that mostly people feel that they are broken, that there's something wrong with them, that they have a default setting almost. And I often hear, I bet I'm your worst case. I bet I'm the worst person you've ever worked with. I bet you never find anyone as bad as a situation as me. And everybody thinks that they're the worst. It's not true. So the first thing I want to highlight is, no matter what is going on for you right now, or people that you know, there may be a perspective that feels like you have got something wrong with you, that you are defaulted, that you are broken. But I'm telling you now, you are not broken. What has happened is, through some programming that you have downloaded, negative programming, is that it is rising up through your subconscious, and it's playing like a record, and it feels very real, because you've probably thought it, felt it, focused on it many times before. And so because you have, it plays very easily, almost like if you went to the theatre and you watched a play. The reason why the actors and actresses are so good at their roles is because they've practiced their roles over and over and over again. And this is no different for us as humans. We almost start playing a role that we've played many times before, and because we have played it many times before, it's automatic. And so it feels incredibly real, which is why anxiety, stress, depression, all these things feel very, very, very kind of like you've been taken over by them when it happens. So I'm here to tell you that in order for you to get a different result, again, you've got to do something different, because what we've been doing hasn't been working out. So in order to, first of all, get your biggest shift, we must change our focus on what we've been putting our attention on, onto something that involves you returning back to being self-empowered. And way back 7 days ago, I pretty much started this talk with, knowledge is power, and it is. But knowledge of self is self-empowerment. And I would love you to write that down, because it's so important. The first part of self-empowerment is, from this moment forth, you must make a deal with yourself. And the deal needs to be that you are going to allow yourself time to work on yourself. I'm going to say it again. That you are going to allow yourself time to work on yourself. And the importance of this is that if you do not take the time to go inwards and work on yourself, no one else will. and the results will never change. If anything, they'll get worse, because that's how it goes. It tends to spiral further and further down. And so the contract that you can make from this moment is that you are going to dedicate some time every single day to you. And that is not being selfish. In fact, it's being selfless. And sometimes I have to deal with this topic with people because they're so used to putting every other human being before themselves that there's never any time left for them. And there's probably a few nodding heads going like this while I'm saying this, because it's probably potentially maybe even you. And what happens is we get so lost in sorting everybody else out that there's a tendency to feel guilty almost if we even put any attention on ourselves. The bigger problem of this is, even though you are sorting every other person out, every Tom, Dick and Harry, that you are terrible at saying no, that even when you're already maxed out, if somebody asks you to do something, you still say yes. If that's you, you need to listen right now. Is that what happens unconsciously is that you run all this on a level of resentment. Now, you might not be consciously aware of that, but that's what's happening. Resentment is like almost like it's almost like when we are in a state of resentment, it's like we start eating ourselves alive. That's how bad resentment is. And I often get people with skin issues with resentment because they're just actually got so much going on and they can't handle it. Or quite often fibromyalgia clients are usually riddled with guilt and usually riddled with like feeling completely and utterly resentful about all the things that they do because they can't say no ever. And if that's you, then give me the thumbs up because it's got to stop here. So the deal is, guys, and I'm on a bit of a rant tonight because I want to get this through to you, that in order for you to get a change, that you make a contract from this moment forward that you are going to put some time into you, right? And it starts today. And this is the first thing I want you to do. Get your paper and pen out, okay? The first thing I want you to do about focusing on you and going inwards is I want you to play big in life. And how you do that is you write a list of all the things that excite you. Yes, you, not anyone else, you. So if that's like doing your nails, having a bubble bath, if that's going for a walk on your own, if that's doing some yoga, I don't know what it is, but write it down. And then you're going to make me a promise that you're going to do one of those things every single day. And even if it's 5 minutes, you're going to do it and it's going to be your time. And when you do it, whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to tell yourself that you are incredible and amazing. And you might be cringing at me as I say those words, because if you've ever worked with me before, then you'll already be used to me being like this. But if you don't tell yourself you're incredible and amazing, then who else is going to? And remember all the way back to day 5 when we spoke about how the cells of your body are continuously reacting to where your attention goes. If you are focused on you being amazing, then vibrationally you will shift every cell of your body into that state. Because remember, we are vibrational beings. We live on a vibrational planet and everything is energy. And whether you believe that or not, right, you can Google it if you like everything has a reaction to whatever we put our focus on. So your moment right now is about choosing to choose right and choose consciously about where you are going to put your focus. No longer put your focus on things that make you feel rubbish. Put them on empowering things. Put them on things that make you feel alive. Put them on things that make you feel expansive. So this is my suggestion. When you get up in the morning, you're going to have a little plan. And this is the best time to have a plan because we're in this unique situation. My plan every morning is I get up and the first thing I do is I meditate. If you don't know how to meditate, then just download an app for now or shout out to me, DM me, look at the website, whatever it takes, but have at least 5 minutes of meditation first thing in the morning. And there's a reason for that. What you input inwards first thing in the day reflects outwards for the rest of your day. The first 2 hours of your life are so important. Get off that phone. Do not pick up Facebook. Do not pick up Instagram. Do not pick up WhatsApp. Put your phone down and make sure that you put you first. So get up tomorrow morning and meditate for 5 minutes. I don't care if you've never tried it, have a go. After you've done that, you're going to drink some water. You are going to hydrate yourself because you are worth it. Get some water and drink it. And I'd like you to drink 8 of these a day, but if you can't, if you're going, I can't drink 8 of them a day, just have a go. You'll probably spend most of the day in the toilet, but it doesn't matter, you're going to be in anyway. It doesn't matter. This is the perfect time to make these changes. After you drink your water, beautiful, beautiful water, okay? You are then going to move your body. You need to do some movement. Go onto YouTube, go onto my friend's page, Garfit, or there's loads of like stuff going around locally. It's loads of stuff online. Loads, no excuse. At least 10 minutes of exercise moving your body. If you've got chronic pain, then do some stretching. But if you haven't, then move your body. Whether it's yoga, whether it's HIIT exercise, I don't care. Move your body. So tomorrow morning, you'll have got up, you'll have meditated, you'll have moved your body, and you'll have drunk some water. And this is the final part of you spending time on investing inwards. You're then going to, and are you ready for this? The final part is, I want you to have a freaking love affair with yourself. Don't worry, there's no sex toys involved here. And how I want you to do this is, because we are vibrational beings, right? I quite often hear people saying, oh, I've just got to be positive and then everything will be right. Right, I'm telling you now, I don't work with positivity. Positivity didn't work. It's rubbish. It's so last season. It's not about being positive. It's about shifting your literal vibration into a higher state of consciousness, right? It's about shifting every freaking cell, 50,000 of them, into a higher state of consciousness. And how we do that is we do that by having a love affair with a good old feeling. So whether that's feeling is joy, whether it's peace, whether it's happiness, whether it's fun, whether it's unconditional love, I don't care. You just got to choose one of those and decide which one it is you want. Like this morning I was focusing on freedom, because freedom is something that really excites me. I love being free. I love my job. I love my life because I feel free, and yet I'm isolated, but I still feel free. I feel completely free. So how you have a love affair with this feeling as you do this is you sit down for 5 minutes, and of them 5 minutes you're going to spend tomorrow 1 minute. And what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself, what does my high vibrational word feel like? So let's take the word love. And you might say, how does love feel? Right, I'm going to feel that feeling of love. So right now, feel that feeling of love. Whereabouts in your body is it? For me, it's in my heart. It's here. It's right here. It's in my chest. I can feel it. And what you're going to do is you're going to like take that feeling of love, right? And you are going to rest right into that mofo, and you are going to freaking feel it. You are going to feel it, and it's going to be so good. It's going to be literally bouncing off you like rays of the sunshine, right? You're going to rest into that feeling of love, and you're going to expand it through every cell of your body. And how you do that is you're going to close your eyes and you're going to imagine it washing through your whole entire body. That full experience of love. You're going to feel it washing up and down for a minute, okay? And then you're going to get up and you're going to go and have the best day of your life, right? You're going to have the best day of your life. You're going to set that intention, and that's how you're going to live it, from that high vibrational state. You're going to stay off the TV. You can go to your phones, you can use Facebook, whatever you are, but do not get caught up in negativity for more than like 10 seconds. Put it down and then come back into that high vibrational state and just play from there. And tell me after that how you feel. Because I tell you what, I've never met a depressed person who feels like they're expanding outwards unconditional love. I've never met an anxious person, right, who is not. All people that experience anxiety or depression are always in their heads. They're always stuck in here because it perpetuates negativity, perpetuates all them thoughts. I've never met somebody who is blissfully expanding themselves into a love affair of unconditional love who feels shit. Right? Period. Sorry for swearing. So what I want you to do is I want you to spend the next 24 hours focusing on this upward spiraling experience. So number 1 is meditate, number 2 is move your body, drink some water, and number 4, it's 1, 2, 4. I'm going slightly mad. I've been doing a lot of talking today, so forgive me. So 1 is meditate 5 minutes, 2 is move your body, 3 is drink some water, and 4 is spend a minute on that upward spiraling, expansive emotion of love, right? Now, final point. What you expect, you create in your reality. I'll say that again. What you expect, you create. And if you don't believe me, just have a little interview with a few of your friends right now about where they're at, and then look at their kind of like objective world and how they're dealing with stuff. And I can guarantee you it's all in alignment with what they expect. So if you want to move through this time and become more empowered and a better version of you, then expect it. Period. And if you need any help on this, then DM me, because I am so excited about shifting into a much better place and using this unique time to be able to do it. And I'm happy to have a flipping gang of us doing it together. So do not hesitate. Reach out if you want some support or help. So before I finish, just to give you some news, my first book, oh my god, Breaking Free from Pain, is going to be out in the next few weeks. I will let you all know. And I'm going to be shouting out and asking for some support and help, because what I want to do is I want to become a #1 bookseller on Amazon. Now, this is really bad, but this is how it works. I've got like an hour, I think, when it goes out, or maybe it's 24 hours, I'll have to check, whereas if I can get enough people to buy the book in that first 24 hours, then they'll make me a bestseller. So what I'm going to do, because this is the hot tip, the marketing tip I've been told, is you've just got to sell it for £1 and then hope that people will support you. So if you feel like you've enjoyed this last 7 days and you would like to do anything to support me, then that would be what I'd ask for, is that in that 24 hours when it goes live, if you help me try and become a #1 bestseller on Amazon, that would be amazing. I know it's all a bit bent, but that's apparently how it works, and then I can use it for a marketing tool. So my book's coming out then. Also, I do have a website, kirstybortoff.co.uk, with lots of free material on there. I have a new, I'm getting lots of funky stuff done to this website, where I'm going to have some continuous, hopefully my YouTube channel will go through there. It's going to have lots more stuff on there, but do go over, check it out. There's a free masterclass for stress and anxiety that absolutely use yourself, but share it with the world, share it with whoever you want. If you are somebody who feels that you would like some more support after this 7 days program, and feel that you would like that hand-holding support of having someone like myself to take you to that next level, then just DM me. And what I do is I will give you a free 45-minute discovery session, one-to-one over Zoom. What that entails is a little journey together. So a little less intense, I promise, because it'll be one-on-one. But what I'll do is I'll just I'll do a health assessment on you, where you're at, see where you're going and where you want to go. And then at the end of the health assessment, I'll explain what the VIP program's like, or the group coaching program's like. And at the end of that, then if you feel like it's a good fit and vice versa, then I'll tell you what your options are and what potentially you can do to go forward. If that's something you'd be interested in, then just DM me. What else do I need to tell you? The meditation is thebrightpath.com. All this stuff I'm going to put in a link below this particular live once it's finished, so that you can access the information again. Other than that, guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this last 7 days. It's been amazing. There will be more stuff to come over time. Don't forget to follow me on my YouTube channel, which is Kirsty Bortoff, the Mindset Coach. It's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed myself. I hope you've got something out of it. If you have, and you think it's worth other people seeing, then please leave me a mini little testimonial or in a few words underneath tonight, saying whatever you felt that you've got out of the 7-day program. I'd really appreciate that. Other than that, guys, right, self-empowerment is the way forward, and I want to hear how you get on tomorrow morning, and I'm excited for you. I'm so excited for you to take back control and live your life the way that you deserve to, which is from a place of upward spiral and expansion, because you know what, that's your birthright. I love you lots. Mwah. Have an amazing evening.